you then see that this area that you're in, that you're passing through, takes the shape of a tunnel. And dimension-wise, it was vast. It was anywhere from 1,000 feet to 1,000 miles wide. And it was definitely to infinity. And before you is this just magnificent, beautiful, bright white light. You are confronted by true, pure love. In my case, since I've talked to other people, I realize that they necessarily were not given a choice. In my case, at that moment, I was aware that I could immediately choose to leave and return to reality or my body. Or I could have the choice of moving forward or desiring to enter into or become part, rather emotional, become part of this light. And the next moments, I did desire to become part of this light, including considering my life in reality, the love that I have for my wife and children, for the people around me, the wonderful things that I've been able to do in my life. I've had a really exciting and wonderful life prior to this experience, and the wonderful things that I can continue to do, helping the people around me, making love to my children and my wife and close friends and so on. But it was so much more desirable. This was perfection. This was heaven or God. And it is now confusing to me. I don't recall making a specific choice. I recall desiring to enter this light, and I did in fact make a forward motion. Excuse me. The return trip was extremely vivid, and it was everything in reverse.
You went back through the tunnel,
right,
and so forth?
Back through the tunnel and to reality, and upon reaching the beginning of the tunnel at the reality point, I woke up or came to or entered my body with just a huge bang, with a jolt similar to an electric shock, or just, bang like that.
The minute I decided that I had to come back, the light never came back, that beautiful light. I just plopped into my body. I don't even remember the coming down. I just was in, and I woke up in such unbelievable pain. It was excruciating. I just was overwhelming.
Did you remember your experience at the time that you came back?
Yes, I did, very vividly, but I did not speak of it for a very long time, very selectively. My family did not know about it for many, many years.
It was at least 6 months after the incident that I could even speak to my wife about it. It was such an emotional, beautiful, swelling feeling inside that every time I tried to express it, I think I would just explode. I would break down and cry. And she, for the longest time couldn't figure out what was wrong with me.
Well, she must have wondered a lot then about how you were dealing with this episode, because she, as you say, is a nurse and knew the seriousness of your condition, and I guess also knew that you had, I gather this is the case, that you had clinically died.
Yes, my heart stopped. I stopped breathing. I guess I was out about a minute, and they brought me back. The minute I came back, the pain returned immediately, the fear. I mean, I just...
all the human emotions.
Yes, everything human came back. And I remember being very angry that they brought me back. And my wife ended up asking a while later, you seemed angry, how come? And I just couldn't tell her. That was probably the most frustrating 6 months of my existence. After experiencing perfection and something so beautiful, I wanted to hold on to it. Didn't want to let it go. And it wasn't easy. After I had recovered the second time and went home, everything just seemed to change. It was almost like I was starting my life all over again. I was a baby. I hadn't made the mistakes that I had made in my life, and things weren't messed up or whatever. And I can recall, in my attempt to hold on to this feeling and to hold on to this peace, I began to bump into earthly things, you know, that of course aren't going to escape from you. You know, they're there. My first frustrating experience was with the television. I couldn't watch television. There would be a excuse me, a commercial, a cosmetic commercial. I couldn't. I'd have to turn it off because it was something false. It was unnecessary. It was fake. It just didn't belong. You know, it's insignificant. Any type of violence, if there was even a Western, an old Western movie, I'd have to turn it off because to me that was total ignorance. There was just no reason on earth to show people killing people. You know. That was frustrating, especially when the family's sitting down trying to watch television and Dad gets up and turns it off all the time. You know. So I finally just learned to go to my room. It got to the point where I had a great deal of time readjusting. And it was at that time, I have a very, very close friend who was a priest, we call him Father Bob, who sat down with me a few times and very understanding. There's a man that I know did not experience what I did, but he seemed to know. He knew what I was talking about, very understanding. Perhaps the most important thing he did for me was to help me to readjust, to accept life, to understand that you are living, that, you know, that is there, it will come again, and that there is much more here, and that I was here for a reason. And it did help, you know. I'm back to watching television. I even like the boxing matches. Come a long way.
I could stand the commercials, too.
Right.
We just found out 3 years ago my husband is dying of cancer. Now he's only 34 years old and he has cancer of the pancreas, liver, and now bone cancer. And what has happened here with me is, being so young, of course an older person you expect to die, you expect me to have a heart attack or die of cancer, but not a healthy, very healthy 34-year-old man. And I always wondered, I wonder why this happened to me, and you know, what am I going to get out of it? A very practical person. Now I know, because the strength that it has given me is in turn allowing me to give my husband strength to die. Mm-hmm. We've talked about it hours on end. I know that I've given him peace of mind to the point he didn't actually experience it, so he can't say, okay, great, come on, death. But he can appreciate it. It calms him down a little bit, and certainly he feels better that I feel calmer about it.
Death is a beginning, Ken. It's beautiful. There's the light. It's love. It's more beautiful. It's, if you really love somebody, you've got to be happy for where they're going. It's an adventure, and they're not alone. See, we're afraid of somebody being alone, but they're not alone. Beyond.
And not only not alone, but it seems like they're surrounded by this sort of atmosphere of love that it's very difficult to leave once you encounter it, isn't it?
It's beautiful. It is just as though, you know, you're being held in a cradle of love and just being carried through the most beautiful, magical story God could ever create. And it's, I just can't explain it. It's marvelous.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Ken.